Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Lineage Break Grand Archive TCG Podcast. I'm your host, Cam. With me, as always, is Trusty Steven.
Boop, boop, boop. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I was concerned there for a second.
A shutdown.
Yeah, you're just a boo. Like, oh, we lost Cam.
I am a robot.
Happy Friday, Cam. Welcome back to beautiful, overcast Marlborough, Massachusetts.
Ooh, St. Louis sucks. If you're from St. Louis.
Happy Friday, chat. How are we all doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Steven?
Yeah, big energy today.
We're big vibing. We've been away for a couple of weeks, so it's good to be back on stream.
I do love everyone in chat, and I love doing the podcast. But I gotta say, a week off.
It's nice.
I got up at 11:30.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to rush to your house.
Mm-hmm.
I get to play video games all day.
True.
To the point where one Audier
sent
me a text message at 6 o'clock and said, "Are you coming? You better be coming."
To locals last week?
Yeah.
That's so good.
I was just like,
all right.
Yeah, I'm on my way. I'm meandering.
There was a locals last week, right? Like,
yeah.
Enough people showed up.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. We're back. Dinosaurs story. Thank you for being here. Shout out to anybody that I saw in St. Louis. Thank you for your kind words and for watching the show. It means a lot.
Whoa, that was a good one.
Yeah, we're back. We're talking a little bit about North American Nationals today, and then we have some TTR Tidbits.
Tidbits.
We love Tidbit season.
Yeah, God, it's
my,
so good.
It's my favorite time. The speculation is fun, and we're always wrong about everything, but like it's it's a fun time to do it. But before we talk about any tidbits, let's talk about that thing that happened last week. Last weekend was North American Nationals in air quotes St. Louis.
How was Collinsville?
It was fine. I'm like a rock star, Steven.
Yeah.
I'm like Steven Tyler. Is he canceled? I don't know. It's hard to choose a rock star to compare yourself to that's not canceled. Who can we use?
Gene Simmons.
I'm like Gene Simmons, and by that I mean I go to an event and I go to glorious St. Louis, which I'm sure is a very nice place, and everyone will be like, "How is St. Louis?" I go to the hotel. And I go home. So, like, I don't know how St. Louis is. I didn't go. I spent my entire weekend in, like, a really, really strange... It was like... It's this giant parking lot. Think, like the size of, like, a mall parking lot. But without the mall.
Okay.
The mall is absent.
Okay.
And in it is the convention center, which was very nice. 4 hotels, I think. A couple of restaurants. And then nothing else, as far as you can see, because it's a flat, cursed place. You can't even see the city from where you are. So, like, as far as I know, I'm, like, in the middle of the desert is where we spent our weekend. So, like, it didn't feel like I went to St. Louis at all. I missed the fireworks as well, which is cringe. There was fireworks.
Did you watch Pirates?
No pirates. I can't do it without you. It's it's a tradition that we share, and I can't do that with Andrew. But anyways, it was lovely. And North American Nationals was there, and lots of competitive players came out to fight for their last chance to get Worlds spots ever. Last chance.
I had a lot of fun watching the stream because every now and then I was like, just like pointing people out. I was like, oh, I know all those people. I was watching it with a bunch of normies. Yeah. Because I went and had dinner with one Nicholas Peterson.
Nice. And I like that, Nick Peterson.
We were just like all hanging out, and I was like watching the stream on my phone. They're like, we can just put that on the TV. I'm like, I don't want to burden you.
Nice.
I don't want to burden you. And then they were like, just do it. And I was like, all right, cool.
So I mean, Nick saw me on camera.
Yeah, Nick
How
saw
cute.
you on camera.
Yeah, it was quite a stacked tournament. I think it was like 204 players, if I remember correctly, and it was super stacked, as you expect from NA. And there's a lot of discussion about the way that these Worlds invites work, and the passing down of Gauntlet slots and the passing down of World slots and whatever. I don't think any of that is confirmed. What I've heard is that it's sometime in the next week people will like be locked in, and so we'll know who has Worlds invites, who has Gauntlet invites, and then maybe like next week or something when we have some downtime, we can have a little discussion about how we feel about the Worlds format and all that fun stuff. But today we're just going to talk about the event and then do some tidbits. I, of course, want to take a few moments before we talk about the metagame of the event to congratulate our top 8 players, which was like pretty insane. I don't know if I got this across on coverage, but huge shout out to True Champion Gaming. Maybe you guys have heard of them.
I haven't. Who are they?
They are a competitive Grand Archive team that had just like the kind of the most spectacular showing that I've seen of any team ever in the history of Forever, where 5 of them came to the event. All 5 of them made day 2. 3 of them made top 8, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So shout out to them, being Girthos and Perfy, and of course the GOAT, Caben Schwarzentuber, all made top 8. Shout out to Main Deck. Also had 2 people in the top 8, both Mitch and Taylor made top 8, so congratulations to you, gentlemen. Shout out to Canada, Superior.
Your one player.
Our one Canadian. It is North American Nationals for a reason, so we have some Canadian representation in our top 8.
I have to point something out.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what Nationals it is.
Yeah.
TCG is just going to be in your top 8.
Dude, it's crazy. Yeah, they did so well, and I think it does really show that Dan wasn't really shy about saying it on camera, that True Champion and Main Deck worked together for national season, and I think that is super telling. There are 5 Fractal decks in the top 8 of this event, and we'll talk about that, but all 5 of those are on TCG and Main Deck, which is really, really impressive, so congratulations to those guys. Huge congrats to our GOAT, Korax, who I was rooting for, and then he biffed it in the quarters, but he did win his 5th 6 match, so he did get a direct invite to Worlds, so congrats to Korax. And then, of course, congratulations to Joe Facha for winning the event.
Yeah.
His first premier event top 8. And he's like, if you look at his Fractal, you guys should definitely go look at Joe Facha's Fractal, because he's like a really, really talented player where like almost every event that he's played, like Ascents and Nationals and stuff, he's like somewhere in the like 16 to 20 range, where like he always does really well, but not well enough to get top 8. And so this was his like breakout performance, and obviously he won the event, which is really impressive, and not playing the Boogeyman deck, which is even more impressive. So,
and not even that, just like playing like some of the best players in the world.
Yeah, man.
On the Boogeyman deck.
Yeah. And
beating them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like
very
I was watching the semifinals match with Caben, and I was just like, there was so many times where I'm like, oh, Caben's just got it, and then Joe Facha just did something out of left field, and I'm like, oh wow,
super, super impressive. Yeah, taking down several TCGs on his journey.
Yeah.
Really, really impressive stuff. So congrats to you, John. We'll see you at Worlds. So before we have the fun stuff, let's talk about that top 8 a little bit. I've spent a lot of time talking about fractals in regard to Sylvie, and maybe I just like feel worse about Sylvie in hindsight, where like usually I'm like, well, like Fractal is clearly the best deck, but it's not like unbeatable. You can like build to beat it. It's got there's some holes in its armor, right? And it's not as bad as Sylvie was. Then we got this Nationals top 8 that had 5 Fractal decks in the top 8, and I took a second. And I was like, well, surely this can't be as bad as Chicago was, right? The fabled 6 Sylvie top 8, and it's not 6, but the representation both day 1, day 2, higher for Fractals than it was for Chicago era Sylvie, and so I don't know.
I think there's a lot to
Maybe
say.
there's a problem.
I think there's a lot to say to that, though, because, like, if you remember Chicago era Sylvie, it was just, like, there was a lot less ways to remove the cards that stopped that deck from working.
Yeah.
But everyone was already playing Sylvie.
Right.
Now it feels like you have to build specifically to stop that kind of graveyard deck.
Mm-hmm.
And then even with that, we've saw Joe Facha win through a Nullifying Lantern on this Genbu deck.
Yeah.
So, like, it's definitely like a weird parallel, right? Like, back in the day, you played Null Lantern, the Sylvie deck loses.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of. I guess there was other ways that deck wins besides milling you out, because Icebound Slime existed. But but now you have the similar deck functioning without Nullifying Lantern, or functioning through Nullifying Lantern, playing into this fractal deck that if you can stumble them for a turn or absorb some of their damage, you just, like, beat it.
Yeah, it's hard. Comparing numbers directly, it doesn't tell all the story, and I think that's what you mean.
Yeah, I'm kind of rambling. Too many thought.
I get you. But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't, like, feel as bad, I think.
Yeah.
But maybe it's still an issue. It does have to be said that there's 5 fractal decks, 2 Genbu decks in our top 8, right? So it's 7 of these water-based sort of like tempo decks, these Lost in Thought Fractal of Rain decks, if you will. And so I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we see some movement. We do have a ban list on Monday. Mm-hmm. Personally, I'm sort of 2 minds where Worlds is coming up, and we really want the Worlds format to be cool. And even though MRC Alter, which comes out today, is quite cool, and I think there's some sweet cards that people are going to get to play with, I don't know that it really shifts the meta in any significant direction. And so without any changes to the ban list, the format that we saw at Nationals will probably be the format for Worlds, which I don't think is the end of the world, but from a viewership standpoint, it feels a little bit bad. So I'm curious to see what they do on Monday. Lost in Thought is Category 1. I would be kind of shocked if it didn't go to Category 2. I'm just curious if they will do more than that, if they do want to actually affect the format for Worlds, because there's not a whole lot of time to prepare for it. All of the players that have qualified playing some version of this current format. And so, like, I don't know if a shake-up 3 weeks before the biggest tournament of the year is a good idea, but from a viewership standpoint, it would be cool to not watch Fractals for 14 rounds over Worlds weekend.
Do you think that if the Fractals deck gets hit in any way, do you think that that removes, like, creates like a vacuum almost where Genbu just skyrockets to the top because of it?
I think Genbu is a easier deck to combat. With, like, Censor of Restful Peace and Nullifying Lantern and Icebound Slam being banned, I think it is pretty hard for us to see that, like, Water Ari esque meta, the, like, Sylvie Nico meta from
6 months ago,
last season. I think it's harder to see that. I think the problem that Fractals has is that it has that sort of Water Ari top end as far as, like, skill ceiling goes, but it has a much higher floor. And so I think that's why it does so well in Swiss, that I would say, like, if you play 12 rounds of Swiss, 6 of those rounds you probably just steal because your deck is very powerful, right? And you just, like, burst people out of the game, especially in the earlier rounds. So I think if you remove that deck from the format, I don't know how they do that, and I don't know that that's even a consideration. But if that deck were removed from the format, I think Genbu does still get that, like Joe Facha winning the event, high skill level portion, but you lose the floor. I think the floor of Genbu is much lower because you're, like, not a fucking Burst Asunder deck, right? So it's a harder to steal games.
Right.
Like, everybody says that Genbu is, like, the draw machine, right? You get a shit ton of draws on Genbu because it has a hard time finishing the game, and so I don't think it would be that, like, not that it wouldn't be tier 1, but I don't think it would be that, like, meta-defining Giga Broken deck, I think we would actually just see a lot of allies, Luxem, especially with the new cards. I think like Wind Robots looks really good, and with Clarent, I think Lorraine Wind Robots looks really good. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm just I'm curious to see what they do on Monday. I don't think the format is awful, so like I'm not. If they don't change anything, I think that's okay. I just from a viewership standpoint of like the biggest event of the year, I think it would be cool if we didn't have to watch Fractals for 12 rounds.
Right. Also, I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention that there was a pretty big rules change at the beginning of Nationals.
Yeah.
In the form of how time going to time works
pretty
now.
Massive, yeah.
So from my understanding of the announcement, the way it works now is that if you are in overtime,
yes,
and that ends, time ends, the 5 minutes.
The 5 minutes in overtime is called, yeah.
Everything on the currently on the stack, will resolve, and you are still able to add to that stack.
That's correct.
Okay.
Or if you're in the combat phase, that combat phase also resolves.
Okay.
So if you're like mid declaring an attack, you will go through the entirety of that combat phase until the damage step. And then
for that one, like
correct for that attack. Yes.
Yeah, okay. So like I couldn't, I have lethal on board. I attack with 2 guys, I win.
Yeah.
But I've only attacked with 1 time.
You're only going to resolve that one. Yeah. Yeah. It's mostly like you attack with your Genbu. A bunch of stuff is going to happen in the combat step because that's how that deck works. All of that will resolve. Damage will resolve, and then after cleanup, the game is ended. And it's the same with the current effect stack. You can still add to it, but as soon as the stack is completely clear, the game ends.
Yep.
Which I think is a good change. I think either way, like no matter what you do to the overtime rules, there's going to be a way to abuse it, and so people will always be like, "Well, this means that you can do X, Y, and Z." But you could do X, Y, and Z the other way as well. Like people that are going to abuse the rules are going to abuse the rules, and you ban them as a result. So I do think holistically is a good change. Does mean that I think more games will end decisively than they did before. So hopefully we'll get less IDs and or less unintentional draws. And I would be curious. Maybe I'll do some digging and ask some of the tournament reporters. I wonder if there was less unintentional draws at North American Nationals as a result.
I know that a lot of our friends drew. Shout out to Team Lineage Break.
Yeah. We Team Lineage Break did not have the best weekend, but I'm very proud of our team.
I also want to give a special congratulations to one Lineage Break Travis.
Yes.
For just narrowly missing 15 points to hit day, or 16 points to hit day 2. Hitting 15 must have been real tough.
One more huge shout out to Lineage Break Tex for being the only 6-2 in the day 2 event to not make top 16. Got 17th place at 6-2.
That's tough.
That's our king.
Also, I would like to point out that Travis walking around in the Akatsuki robe with the horse mask over the weekend was golden every time I saw him in the background.
It's a shame I could not get him on camera, but I wasn't thinking about it in the moment, but it's like truly insane for Travis to wear the Akatsuki robe and the horse mask that you guys can see in our HVN spoiler video. But to pack those on a trip that he had to fly for, like that didn't register with me at first. Where it's like, oh, he brought his meme costume. That's funny. He put it in his luggage. Like he had to make space for it to fly with it on the plane with his horse mask. So
Travis, did you wear that during games?
No, he couldn't. He couldn't see. He couldn't see
okay. That's what I was like. I was wondering that. I'm like,
certainly
that would have been so unhinged. Some mental damage to your opponent there for sure.
And you guys can see that at Worlds because I'm sure he'll bring it to Worlds as well. So that's North American Nationals. We hope that you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching coverage. We really do appreciate it. We put a lot of work into it, and we hope it was a good show for you. Hopefully you guys like hand cams.
Dude, the first time I saw it, I was like, hand cam! Oh, yes! It's so good!
It was a real pain in the ass for Shinja to do.
Yeah.
So we hope that you like it.
I loved it.
So all that competitive nonsense is out of the way. Do you guys even care about competitive Grand Archive? What you guys want to hear is us talk about that new Distorted Reflections stuff. We have some tidbits to talk about, some rampant speculation to do, and man, we got some good ones today. And we're gonna catch up with our Silly Dar tidbits and talk all about what we think DTR is gonna look like. And a reminder, folks, it's coming sooner rather than later. We're at like the 8-week mark now, yeah? About 8 weeks out from DTR. If I was a betting man, I assume that we will see design notes sooner rather than later, probably Worlds. So you guys will get all that juice in a couple of weeks. But until then, we have some tidbits to talk about, and we will say some things that are probably just holistically wrong, but we appreciate you guys sticking with us and speculating. So, last we talked, so that you guys can catch up, if you're reading the tidbits, following along with us, you can do so at twitter.com/Silidar. Does that still work? Can you use twitter.com? Probably. x.com/
the everything app.
Silidar. Not sponsored. We hate Elon Musk. The last time that we talked about tidbits was DTR tidbit number 8, which is just a scroll emoji, which we speculated might mean a mastery coming for one of our new champions.
Yeah, thanks to chat for pointing out.
we're stupid. But after that is where we're going to start. We're going to start with tidbit number 9, Steve.
Actually, I would like to start with an unofficial tidbit.
Okay.
Before we get into the meat.
I like the meat.
Unofficial tidbit.
Yeah.
Grey Wolf. Icebound Slam CSR was planned to be an MRC altar.
That would have been a good one.
Until it got banned.
Yeah, card
Shame.
Sucks. So I'm glad it's gone.
I'm not.
But
I miss it.
Would have been cool.
DTR tidbit number 9. There's an object card that has an activated ability that triggers its on-enter abilities.
Neat.
I don't understand.
I think that's pretty cool.
But, yeah.
Well, so, like, I'm thinking of, let's assume, I assume it's a Regalia. I think that would make the most sense. But, you know, just like use any object as an example. Of course, the one that comes to mind. I'm a cleric player. Is Mnemonic Charm, right? So Mnemonic Charm says on enter, draw a card into your memory. You sacrifice 2 and power 2. It's like if a card said on enter, draw a card into memory, and then it had pay 3,
draw a card
rest,
into memory.
draw a card into memory.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely interesting. And I don't know exactly what it'll be.
No. I think you're right with the Regalia.
Yeah, probably. I mean, yeah, it's an object, they said, right? So it could be on an ally. That would just be weirder, I think.
Yeah. The next card, or the next tidbit here, I had made, when I read it, I immediately went into our group chat and I had posted. It's like, if this card isn't absolutely broken, then they did too much.
Yeah.
They overcooked. So tidbit number 10.
Yeah.
There's a card that has class bonus, element bonus, and Diana bonus on it.
Well, I do think this is interesting where class bonus, Diana bonus, whatever. We put those on a billion cards. Lots of things have champion bonus. However, I think I would argue that I think all of the cards that have a champion bonus are like pretty busted on purpose because they don't want other rangers to be able to use them.
Right. It's
strange in the fact that her name is Diana, so both of the rangers, aside from Polcock, can use it.
I think this is an Astra card, though.
Well, I think maybe. I think usually the powerful cards are locked behind the advanced elements, so I think that makes sense. But something to note, which I think is pretty interesting, is there is a very small list of cards that have element bonus. And notably, almost all of the cards, maybe all of the cards that have element bonus, it's for the reason that they have some sort of text when they are in a zone that is not in your hand. That's why they have element bonus. So you think about like the Luxem cards have element bonus because you reveal them out of your memory. like Seaside Ringleader and the Ranger one, whatever it's called, Seaside Rangefinder and Relentless Hex Chaser, all have element bonus because they have effects while in your graveyard. So I assume that this is a card that has text not in your hand, which is why it has element bonus, because otherwise you would be able to activate it willy-nilly without having that element. So
that makes sense.
So it might be an Aster card that has text outside of your hand, which is cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Interesting to see what that would be.
Yeah, I think element bonus is interesting because they use it very sparingly. So,
next up we have DTR Tidbit number 11. The Divine Relic of the set has a static ability keyword that has never been printed on a Regalia before.
So
interesting.
Have you done the research?
I have not.
When this the second this was posted, I did the research, so I think I know the answer, but I would like to hear what you think it might be before I tell you what I think the answer is. Because I've done the research, so I cheated. I looked at all of the Regalia to see, what have they not put on a Regalia before? And there's surprisingly few keywords that you could put on a Regalia. It doesn't have ambush, right?
Could it? It could.
I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I guess so.
It could,
it can't be. It can't be. What are the keywords on the Majestic Spirit?
True Sight, Intercept.
Yeah, it can't be those. It could. Yeah, right. So I guess it could be ambush. I didn't assume it to be ambush.
Hindered? No.
There's a lot of Regalia with hindered. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't. There's too many keywords where I couldn't just blind guess.
So my guess. Because if we know Silidar, Silidar loves a technicality. That's my guy who loves a technicality. And so the only reason that I think that this tweet exists is because there is a keyword that is kind of on Regalia. Oh, wait, no, never mind. Oh, shit. I was gonna say Immortal, but that's on the Fate Stones, right? They have Immortal on their front side. On their front side, but not their back side.
Yes.
Interesting. So it can't be Immortal. That was actually that was my guess, but I forgot about those.
Maybe it is Ambush.
Maybe it's Ambush. That'd be cool. It's been a minute since we got a ally out of the
material deck.
Material deck is just Spirit, right?
Yeah.
There's no other ones.
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah, I thought it was Immortal, but that's on Fate Stones. Could be Taunt, because that's on the opposite side of Fate Stones. And they are not Regalia on their opposite side.
Correct.
Interesting. Let's go with Ambush.
Yeah,
we're gonna go with Ambush.
Lock in Ambush.
Lock in Ambush. I'm stupid. I thought it was Immortal.
Say it with our chest, so we're confident.
Ambush.
DTR number 12. This set introduces a new ally archetype, primarily in the fire element. Chat, if you remember a few weeks ago, we did a little speculation on CL, and we were talking about how in a lot of the art that we've seen, there's been a undead fiery, the fire cards have an undead aspect to them, so I'm very much assuming that it is going to be some sort of undead or skeleton or something of the such.
Yeah, I think that's the easy answer. Just because CL is a fire starter deck, right? So he's technically designed to be a fire deck. Who knows what that means as far as implications in the main set? It's hard. I do think that I agree that that's probably the easiest. It's some sort of reanimator thing, zombies or skeletons or whatever. It's tough when they do these ally archetypes because we get little we get little hints of archetypes sort of periodically, right? We got automatons in Azoth block. We got Phantasias in HVN. And I don't know, it kind of sucks. I really like typal stuff. I'm a big fan of typal stuff. And so I hope that we start getting things that are, or horses. I hope we start getting things that are sort of like more widely applicable,
Mhm.
like something that they start and continue supporting,
Right.
because I think archetype
Like maidens.
decks are really cool. Yeah, like the Fantasia allies, horses, automatons. And we've seen like a lot of automaton support, but it's just because we have anecdotally seen all of the altar sets for the 2 sets they were printed in. Like there's
Right.
no automaton support outside of Azoth block. So yeah, I hope for your sake that it's like undead or skeletons or something.
Mhm.
But I also hope for my sake that they continue supporting that, because I think typal stuff is cool.
I agree.
But it's hard without like really any information to know what they mean by this. Because like maybe it's not a CL thing, and maybe it's just a fire thing.
Yeah, that could be true.
And what would, maybe they start doing elementals or something, which is like a
That'd be neat.
sort of fantasy,
Yeah.
fire-inspired sort of thing.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Typically in the fire element is strange, because we don't, I guess aside from the maidens, we don't really have another example.
Right.
Or the Fantasia allies from HVN are all green cards, except for the one that is a norm card.
And the one that is a tarot card.
Yes. But I would say this, primarily in would fit for that. If it said there's a new archetype in HVN, primarily in wind, it would be this Fantasia allies.
Yeah.
And so maybe it'll be something like that, where it is for CL, and you get like a norm one and a number one, and then a bunch of fire ones.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully they're hot zombie girls.
Also, Theo, when you gonna flame me in chat, make sure you capitalize the T in the, because I'm the edgelord.
They must have amnesia because they forgot I'm him. So yeah, that's cool. We went through those two.
Oh my god.
Too quickly.
Yeah, we did.
Just blazed right through those. We need more tidbits to talk about.
Hey, Sil, can you post a tidbit?
I'm really excited though. I every time they show us art for this new set,
yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah, dude, the last one was
just so me-pilled for sure. So I'm really excited to hopefully see more. I'm really curious where, like, I don't know, Steven, where are they going to show us design notes?
It has to be Worlds, right?
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying.
Like there's no other event between now and Worlds, and then the set is out 2 weeks after Worlds.
But it would be like, it feels like it would be so much easier if we had the design notes beforehand, right? Because like, what are they going to show us the design notes at the end of the weekend?
No, it could be on day 0.
Oh, I guess, yeah. There's like an opening celebration.
Yeah.
It could be at the beginning. Is there 2 presentations? I guess if there's 2 presentations, that makes a little bit more sense, right? There's like an opening ceremony presentation on day 0, and then they do the typical closing ceremony on Sunday. I think that makes sense. You're a smart guy.
But also, like, it's weird. It's like very weirdly timed, because like it's usually 3 weeks before the set comes out that spoiler season starts.
Yeah,
and it's going to be kind of tough if, unless they're doing it differently than they have before, where like content creators aren't making videos.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that would be, I think, odd.
Because
I guess
like,
it would be different. Yeah.
Because it's gonna be kind of hard to like film videos when we're at Worlds, and then there's not a lot of time after Worlds to do it.
Yeah, it's like for us, it's not so bad because we're like coming home.
Right.
But it's AX that I'm thinking about, right? That it's like spoiler season probably, if we're like following the same cadence, right, has to start the week after Worlds, which is AX, which is fine. We'll fly home. We can shoot a video after Worlds. But the people that stay for AX are like kind of doomed. If it's like, all right, your video's on Tuesday and you're at AX until Sunday, and your flight home is on Monday. Enjoy.
Yeah, the only thing
videos due on Tuesday.
The only thing I could think of is like they contact the content creators that are getting the spoilers like soon.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like early, and then
right.
film the video and then have the videos like scheduled
maybe
for later.
It's just so like if they do that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you don't really need context. We don't need context for our cards,
Right.
because we're like memers and we shoot a stupid, like silly video. But I think about people like Dan or Kel and people that like usually talk about their card. Like, oh, here's my card, and this is why I think it's going to be good, and this is what you can do with it, which is hard without design notes.
Right.
If you're like, we gave you the CL card to spoil, and you're like, I don't know what he does, and then I don't know, context, right? So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's good and bad. Like I like a condensed season. Like lots of exciting things are coming. We've sort of suffered through our 8 weeks or whatever of pretty light on news, and now it's going to be all very jam packed. We're gonna have Worlds, and then AX is the next week, and then spoiler season, and then the set is out in 2 weeks. So it'll be super jam packed. So, but maybe you're right. Maybe they're just like doing spoilers differently. Maybe they are spoiling a bunch of stuff at Worlds. It could be that. Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe we do Path of Puzzle again or something, and there's a billion spoilers.
Yeah.
What event was that? Was that Chicago?
Yeah, that was the one I didn't get to go to.
I know that you're out there, one Silidar, and I thank you for watching our program. We stalled long enough, ladies and gentlemen, that there is a new tweet from one at Silidar, Tidbit number 13. The set introduces cards with 2 elements. Stephen, we were right. Surely.
Oh double face cards.
Surely Mirror World.
Double elements. Oh,
We're getting Mirror World. Oh,
very interesting.
that's kind of huge. That's really interesting. 2 elements, huh? I mean, that's good. It's sort of. We're Magic players. Did you guys know that we play Magic the Gathering sometimes? I don't really, but. I think there's a lot of really cool design space in gold cards. And gold cards, for those of you that aren't cursed to play Hasbro's Wonder Child, are cards that are 2 colors in Magic. And I think one of the coolest things about that sort of design space is every element in Grand Archive has its own identity, right? Like fire is about direct damage and discarding cards. Water is about floating memory and milling cards. Wind is about suppression and preventing damage, right? And you get a really cool sort of cross section when you combine these cards. So like, what is the identity of fire and wind together? And then you get this, sort of amalgamation of 2 different color identities, which I think is really cool. In this case, it will be less so like it is in Magic, where it's like you have to be a fire and a wind element to play this. It'll assumingly be you can play it in either a fire or a wind deck.
Yeah, and depending on which element you have enabled, does a different thing.
Yeah, maybe has extra text. But that's super cool. I think as the game gets older and we see more like card pool, things like this become more important. Sort of allowing you different avenues for deck building and supporting multiple things with single card releases and stuff like that. So that's sort of my assumption, but who knows? Maybe they're DFCs. I think DFCs would be really cool too.
Yeah.
But maybe a little bit harder, so I think it makes the most sense. I mean, like we have 1, right? And I think that's a great example where we have Dusklight Communion, which is sort of a dual element card.
Yeah.
Obviously a norm card, but has caveats for having 2 different elements.
I'd also like to point out that Lubu, 2 elements, Terra and Exia.
True. So I guess that's a great example though. So if we consider Lubu to be a 2 element card, I think that does point much more directly to them being not DFCs, but single face cards.
Right.
Because this does, Silidar uses the word introduce.
Right.
And it would not be an introduction if we were considering Lubu to be a double face card, so maybe he does not consider Lubu to be 2 elements.
Right.
So it means there'll be 2 elements on the front side, which is cool.
That'd be very interesting. It'd be super cool if it had 1 element when you cast it.
Yeah.
And then if it was in the graveyard or something, it had like an advanced element and you can cast it later on in the game.
Maybe. You ready for this? We had to find one cursed Omega Copium thing that we could say. Maybe a dual element card would be a good place to put class bonus, element bonus, Diana bonus.
Ooh, interesting.
And you're right. And it has you get a second ability like Astra element bonus, but it's like a blue card.
Yeah. You're cooking.
I don't know. We'll see. Could be cool.
Could be cool.
That's a cool one. Thank you, Silidar. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think this set's going to be kind of an all-timer.
Yeah, it's definitely feeling like it's an all-timer for me.
I think I'm really curious. Chat. We do a live show. Thank you for watching our live show. And I am curious how you feel, because I think I said this a couple of weeks ago, that this very much feels like our Innistrad, right? Our sort of like, people will look back at Grand Archive and be like, DTR, that was, the set that was my favorite set or got me into the game or whatever. And I think it sort of has that feel to it so far, because we're very excited for it, so it's hard to look outside of our bubble.
Right.
But anecdotally, it feels like people are really excited for the setting and the champions, and we're curious how you guys feel. Are you guys very excited? What's your favorite Grand Archive set so far? I think this is the first one, at least for me, that feels it's probably just the world setting, but feels like something outside of what I associate with Grand Archive that I'm excited for.
Right. My favorite set so far has been ALC, but it's very quickly approaching to be DTR.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, hold on. Chat, you guys are crazy. Sphinx's Revelation? No. Come on.
That's a Return to Ravnica card.
Grow up.
That's not for
Grow
me.
up.
Where are your parents?
No, there's...
yeah, I like ALC as well. Obviously, I'm an Ari fan. But ALC... There's it's like a separation, right? Because ALC and MRC are in Grand Archive canon,
right?
And so I associate Grand Archive with that, and I think I by proxy sort of associate DOA with Grand Archive, even though it is outside of the Grand Archive canon setting, because Canberra is inspired by Arthurian legend. And then I think just the Three Kingdoms stuff sort of passed me by. That is just not something that I really engaged with,
right?
As a youth, and I think that's where a lot of people's love for it comes, is it has a lot of cultural significance, but also for dumb Americans love Dynasty Warriors, but I never really engaged with it. But I'm super excited for Underland. I just remember
Underland.
What Underland was called. So,
but yeah, I'm very excited for it as well. I mean, I have very similar youth, I guess, growing up.
We're old now.
I very much, I'm not so much enjoy Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass.
Yeah, I couldn't care.
But I'm very much
into Kingdom Hearts.
Well, yes, but I very much consume the media that is based off of his story. So animes, Kingdom Hearts, even though that is Lewis Carroll's Wonderland. But I enjoy the not the actual setting, but the perceived theming.
Yeah, I think the thematics are cool. I don't know if you guys understood this, but Steve and I spent a lot of time at Hot Topic when we were growing up, right?
Well, you didn't have to
we like the checkered patterns and the frilly Lolita skirts and stuff. It's whatever. Yeah.
if you typed
Elder emos, that's
if you typed in 2008 emo kid, you'll probably find me.
I think that's what it is. I think that's what we've come to. I was like, why do I like this setting so much? We're like, oh yeah, it's all just Hot Topic emo stuff.
The mushroom poster that every kid had in their room.
Yeah.
That glows a black light.
Yeah. We're old. Anyways, speaking of elder emos, it's time for our bedtime. Thank you guys for watching the show. We're glad to be back, and it's good to be here. So hopefully we have some stuff to talk about. Hopefully Silidar keeps cranking out those tidbits, so we have some stuff to talk about next week, because next week we're kind of approaching nothing.
Yeah.
Nationals
Despair.
is over. Worlds is still a few weeks away.
Well, at least we'll talk about the ban list.
True. We're going to talk about the ban list, and I think next week I do want to have a discussion with Steven here about Worlds and the Worlds format, because obviously it's a new game, and we're still sort of finding our footing, and there are growing pains that I'd like to discuss as far as Worlds is concerned. So again, thank you guys for watching. If you want to catch us live, you can do so every Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, like right now.
Right now.
If you want to catch the show from last week, you can find that on the Tuber on Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Asterisk.
Where you can watch last week's show, or you can click on the live. I'm gonna give a quick shout out, and by shout out I mean flaming on the internet, to one Lineage Break Sean, who did not know that all of the live streams of everyone that does anything on YouTube, you can watch the VOD. Those are on the channel. So if you guys miss the show and you don't want to wait till Monday, or you don't want to miss the rambling of us before and after the show, you can watch the VOD as well. That is available to you at youtube.com/lineagebreak. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week.
Have a good one, guys.
Woo!
Woo.